Hi everyone, my name is Maddie and I'm going to be talking to you guys about my project that we're going to be doing in Jamaica. We all know we're going to be going to Jamaica for our trip, but what are we going to be doing? So the purpose of this trip is going to be to help improve and provide essential healthcare to underserved communities. These communities often lack access to healthcare and medical care and just not enough staff there to provide them with the services that they need. So we're going to be able to gain experience from this cultural understanding as well as serving the community with compassion and spiritual support. You ask, where are we going? I mentioned a little bit ago we're going to be going to Kingston, Jamaica, and it's going to be for 3 months. Kingston is just a small town in Jamaica that is more of the underserved community that just needs a little bit more attention and has a higher demand for help. So we'll be volunteering our time at a free health clinic. Some of the roles that we'll be doing will be screening patients on their conditions and symptoms that they're coming in with. We'll also be gathering information about their family medical history, just kind of providing them with an overview of how medical history that runs in the family can affect their current health and just things that they can do to in order to prevent further illnesses from occurring. We'll be taking vital signs, just like blood pressure, temperature, oxygen, assessing their pain. We will be doing any wound care, helping the doctors out with any like procedures, of course, maintaining cleanliness and sterile fields when necessary. Another thing we'll be doing is just providing basic education on health and hygiene practices. Sometimes in these underserved communities where there's higher rates of poverty, they do not have access or the education even on how to prevent infections and illnesses from spreading. So we'll just help educate and reinforce our daily cleanliness and hygiene practices. Another thing we'll be doing is caring for the individuals of this cultural in the culture of Jamaica, and it'll be people of all different ages, genders, and even like within different cultures too. So it's just important that we're mindful, and we'll be using the communicating tips and getting a better understanding of how they function as a culture as we experience this. Jamaican overview, we're going to be looking at the family dynamic, the different languages and communication styles. The primary language that Jamaicans speak is English, but they also have the Patios. And like this picture to the right here, it just shows like Patios, it'd be a talk, and then English is talking, a sing, and then singing, a run and running. So kind of similar, but there's just a heavier accent involved with those, and we will get into that more. They also read through the lines, so it's just another thing to be mindful of body language when speaking with the Jamaican culture. Jamaican values. Here we have like respect is the first one, being one of Jamaica's most valuable characteristics. Respect is often demonstrated through reading. Like I mentioned previously, like it can come off as being disrespectful if you do not greet somebody as when you walk by, again using the titles like Miss, Mr., Mrs., if it's a nurse or a doctor or teacher, pastor, whatever it is, making sure you just kind of like give them the appropriate title. And then as far as families, again, I kind of just mentioned this as well. Families are very close with one another. They do oftentimes rely on each other in sharing advice and food and support. As far as like warmth and friendliness, Jamaican is a very warm and friendly community and culture to be around. They very much so value staying warm with each other, like which is expressed by social interactions, including the humor and laughter again, kind of just to lighten up the mood and help kind of connect on a deeper level. it is important. Another value that they do cherish is the patience. They do believe that time being a relationship rather than like a clock based, so basically just taking your time getting to know each other versus like rushing through and always being on the time crunch instead of letting like the clock kind of run the relationship. It's just like how they connect with one another. And then also along with the time, like rushing can be seen as like a negative expression, kind of disrespectful, again going along the main value of being respectful. And then as far as their faith and spirituality goes, their values, morals, and daily life is strongly influenced by Christianity. So just being mindful of like certain religious practices. They are, a lot of their practices are influenced by Christianity and their cultural and spiritual movement. They have oftentimes religious gatherings and like music to overlap as part of daily life and celebrations. So their celebrations might look a little bit different than what our traditional celebrations will look like. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through time and different holidays while we're in Jamaica. The Jamaican worldview. The first thing here we have is life is oftentimes relational rather than individual, meaning like identity being rooted from family and their surrounding community, shared history. Identity is not necessarily just like personal achievements and goals, so they do identify with one another and like as their community. So it's very community based, heavy on that aspect of it. And then relationships come first. So they are also heavy on like decisions being influenced on not only how it affects themselves, but also their family and their loved ones and community around them, rather than just focusing on primarily, is this going to be good or bad for me? They look at the big picture of like, how's it going to affect everybody else? They also agree that people hold more value than like running a schedule. So just very much they nourish and appreciate their relationships in the Jamaican worldview. Again, touching on the respect, that's a big one. It is foundational instead of optional, so it's not really something that they pass up. Being respectful, that's just one of the things that they always prioritize pretty much. So respect can be viewed through the tone of voice as well, and like especially body language, which is very important for us to know as we are going to be going to Jamaica and interacting with these cultures and individuals. Just being mindful of like the way we're speaking to them, because certain cues, whether like the tone of our voice and body language, can give off a much more deeper meaning to them than like what we might be aware of. So it's just important for us to be cautious on how we're speaking and how the words are coming out. They also believe that time being flexible and human, so delays are a normal part of life. I really like this one and how patience also comes into play here, just making sure that, it is expected for delays to happen within life. So patience, that's when that comes in, is a true virtue. Rushing is viewed as being like stressed and can be disrespectful, like not giving the time to the situation that is needed. They live through faith in God. God is a part of their everyday life, as faith is a part of their language and their thought processes. No matter the life event, it is understood in via God's will. So no matter the good, no matter the bad, they firmly believe that God is kind of in charge of that. So just being mindful of the spiritual and religious practices that are happening around us. Storytelling expresses truth, so this is more of like, instead of short, simple, quick conversations, they feel like they build trust when they are telling stories, so they are more value of a story versus like a short and simple answer, just as well as you can connect the emotions and expressions that go along with the stories that can kind of build up the trust and honesty. Another thing that goes with building trust is the act of listening showing signs of respect, maintaining eye contact, keeping your body language and your body's facing towards them while they're speaking, so they know that they have your attention and you are fully interacting with them. And again, joy and humor balances the struggles in life, so they do value laughter again quite a bit. It is a good thing in their community. I also did read that it is not seen as like an inappropriate gesture, where in some, situations here and experiences it's not necessarily appropriate to laugh, but more in the Jamaican culture they value it and is essential as like a coping mechanism too, just kind of to like lighten up the mood and to find the good in the things. Some of the communication rules in Jamaica. The first one's going to be direct. Jamaicans they're not passive, they are very direct when it comes to communicating. They just speak what is on their mind, and they don't believe that they should hide their thoughts or emotions. They're not passive. They really do believe in the warm and friendly environment, so again, like smiling, just having an open body language when you're meeting others. Again, it's expressing respect and politeness, which also is routing from their Christianity roots. Context matters, just making sure that the less that is known between a relationship, like the farther apart they are, and like the more that you know within a relationship, the closer you are with that person. Greetings again, those are very important. Handshake when somebody is more formal of a situation, you don't know them as well. And then like kissing on the cheek or a hug would be obviously somebody that you're more close with. We won't be doing that while we're in Jamaica for the 3 months, just because we won't be in a relationship in that aspect. But there are different relationships that determine the greeting that is appropriate in the situation. Body language, just being, formal space is about arm's length away. The closer you are, the closer your relationship is. If you're too far away, that can also indicate like disinterest or lack of openness. So just being mindful of how far you are when you are communicating with these people. Negotiation is something that Jamaicans do. Style just makes you come off as like more open-minded instead of like bossy and demanding. And then language, again, they primarily speak the English, or they have the Patios, which is similar to the English, just being mindful of certain words that translate over. Tips and recommendations, some things to avoid in the Jamaican culture is talking down or saving language, and mocking any accents, confrontation, and ignoring greetings. As we talked about previously, greetings are one of the most important things in Jamaican culture, just as it represents respect. Things that you should do is like slow down, take your time when you're meeting these people, building a relationship, allowing for longer listening periods, just so really you can express your respect towards one another, which will also lead towards the trust before acting. So just making sure you have a trustful relationship with one another, and then dressing modest.